Liam, they say a week's a long time in politics. The last time we spoke at a pre-match press conference off the back of the Norwich game. Since then, two narrow defeats. How do you reflect on the last two games against Burnley and then Watford?
Frustrated probably with a point return, but I think some really positive aspects to the performance. Starting with Burnley, I thought, especially the last 30-35, we finished extremely well. Applied a lot of pressure, got into some really good areas. Lacked a little bit of quality in the final bit, but for me, deserved enough to get something from the game. Not enough to win it, but enough to get a point. Especially when, don't want to talk about referees today. We'll move on from that one quickly. But some of the decisions, and then the other night, I thought we were excellent first half, bar the finish, which. Again, we had a good meeting with the players this morning about it. I think when you looked at it, Watford tried to press, but our quality with the ball and our build-up was excellent. We got into some really good areas, asked a lot of questions, real purpose to it, out of possession, pressed really well, got after it. Was aggressive, played in the front foot, everything that I'd want our team to look like. Just lacked that final bit on the to either create really good goal scoring opportunities or lacked a bit of detail on when we did get into terrific goal scoring positions. And then they had one shot on target and we ended up losing the game. So hugely disappointed, frustrated. But again, I think the performance was of a high level.
It's that time of year where I think Groundhog Day will be on the television. Forgive me for asking questions I've probably asked over the last few weeks, but the lack of goals, certainly the last two games, is that a frustration, a concern? How would you describe it?
No, not a concern. I think it's probably more of a frustration. Numerous teams across the division will have the same challenge and problem. Funnily enough, you've got an opposition team trying to stop you scoring, and when you look at Burnley, we still got into some good areas against a team that's notorious for not giving up many opportunities. We actually asked a lot of questions, and then the other night again created loads of moments, loads of chances, but it shows that you have to have the quality to take one to win a game. You don't necessarily need 10, 15, 20, and again, I think it's not for me something that I'm going to lose huge amounts of sleep over. It's work on the training ground. It's a meeting this morning to go, why? What do we need to do? And keep churning out the performances that we did, especially first half the other night. I'm confident that if we keep replicating performances like that, the goals will come and we'll win matches.
Yeah, I'll qualify this. Football's a team game, but I guess you look to your strikers to score the goals. On Naki, are you happy if he plays 3 games in a week? He'll tell me definitely that he is. And in Fally and Sinks as well, where are they at? Are they players that you signed in the summer as championship ready, good to go? Or do we give them a bit of slack saying, okay, they're both young. In Fally's case, he wasn't even in this country going into the summer. Do they need time and patience to adjust?
Yeah, I said that from day one. I was quite clear when we signed, and hence having the 2 and the 3 options in the 9 position. None of them were ready to do a 45, 46, 50 game season, starting every game. The skill is to, try and put people in when they're hot and performing. Sinks I thought was excellent in the first 5 games. Scored 2, did an extremely good job. Could have possibly scored more, which is the work we've done with him. And same as Fally, obviously had real good immediate impact. Then Naki's come in and done extremely well. So I think that's the bit. I think is all 3 of them need to be ready to step in and deliver. And again, I think like I said, I was quite clear where if you look at the level in the division and what it costs to go and sign someone that's going to guarantee you 15, 20 goals, they cost a fortune, and there's not a huge amount out. I look across the division now, and if you look at actual goal scoring 9s in the championship at the minute, there's not a huge amount. And I think it's becoming harder. I think in terms of teams that are so well set up, well organised, like Watford the other night, we're excellent first half. When they're pressing, we go behind. They sit off and defend the box, and it becomes quite difficult to break that down because teams are so well organised. So they're bits that we have to work on, that we have to get better at. But I'm confident with not just your 9s, I think around it as well, with Anis, with you, with Birdie, with Twani coming back. Great effort the other night. We've got that depth where for me it's about sharing the goals out amongst your attacking unit.
Yeah, that leads me on to my next point. Anis is actually producing a good goal return, I think 4 so far this season. But do you need more goals from other areas of the pitch?
Yeah, everywhere, centre-backs included. Burnley especially, the number of corners, wide free kicks, some terrific deliveries, but not enough chances created off the back of those dangerous set pieces. So I'd be looking at Rob, Luke, Zach, as well as 90 from set pieces, as we've seen, is a real threat. And then your attacking unit, I think the second you're dependent on one person to do it, if you lose that person, you're in a bit of trouble. So for me, it's everybody needs to contribute, everybody needs to chip in, and everybody needs to play their part. And not just the goals, but also I think we're in a really good spot defensively. I think if you look at the other end of it, like I said, we've lost 2 games against 2 in-form oppositions, difficult places, without giving up too many chances.
This might be a record asking you on the 28th of November a question about January, but I know that recruitment's always ongoing. So, and you're going to learn a lot, maybe know a lot more in the crazy amount of games you got in December. But is it something you'll look at in January if this persists?
Yeah, I think it's one of those. I haven't. The work's going on. There's meetings going on, but at the minute, I think it's still such early stages. We've got so many games to play. There's so many things that could happen between then. I'm sure if in 2-3 weeks' time our front players have scored loads of goals, you won't be asking that question. So for me, I think like I said, every position we're constantly working on, whether it be for January, whether it be for next summer, or a couple of windows ahead. For me, it's never ending, and the recruitment guys do a great job of that continuous cover, watching live games, watching video games, games on video. Sorry, sounds like they're playing computers. Watching games on video, and constantly updating our database of players, from all around the world. So, like I said, it's just a continuous thing.
It's a squad game. Everyone has to be ready. Harry Cornick hasn't featured for City in the league this season. Where's he at the moment?
Yeah, Corns is actually singling him out for someone that he's commend Corns in terms of the career he's had today and that he's had. He's an unbelievable role model in what you'd want in a professional. I know we would have been frustrated. I had some honest chats with him in the summer around the possibility of that minutes would be limited here, that there's options out there for him, and made the decision to stay, and I can't commend him enough for what he brings culturally and how he applies himself, especially now when you have so many games. Small group training session this morning, he's driving it, he's leading it, so he's a terrific pro, one that I know will be frustrated not to have played a lot.
Is he an option in the matches coming up? Yeah,
I think if he's going to help the team win, I think he definitely is. I wouldn't rule anybody out.
Plymouth on Saturday. It's probably not a good thing, is it, that you come to Ashton Gate having lost 6-1 in the week?
Yeah, naturally everyone's going to think that we should do the same and that they're in a. But for me, Championship football, my approach doesn't change. Bore people with it, but truly believe in it. I think we've seen it as well how tight the margins are. That happens. But before that, they got a good point against Watford, and before that, they've picked up some decent points against other high-level opposition. So for me, it's one of those we can't control expectation externally. What we can do is control where our heads are at. And we know it'll be a tough game. We know we have to do the prep work. We have to be in the best place possible to go out and build on so many positives from the last few performances.
You've got Wayne Rooney in the opposition dugout. By the sounds of it, speaking to some of the guys down in Devon, he's all in, showing lots of passion and commitment to the cause. It's a job he probably didn't have to take, but he wanted the job in the summer. What's a Wayne Rooney Plymouth look like at Ashley Gate on Saturday?
Yeah, I think in terms of when you look at it, I think they've performed well in certain games, and I'm sure he's probably disappointed with their performance level, which he's put out there. In other games, I think we have to prepare for them being at their best. And I think when you look at it, they've got some threats, got some decent players. I think they've got quite a clear way of what they're trying to do, and it's on us now to make sure that we stop that and we try and impose the game with our strengths and our qualities. Team
news. How are the squad looking for the weekend?
Good. Everyone came through the game the other night. Okay. Twiney's minutes are building up, so he's in a much better place as well. They're rightly so chomping to get going. I think that's the biggest bit. Is, like I said, we're coming into such a heavy period. It can be a real strength for us now if we respond in the right way and keep on that even keel between games, and like I said, not get too high or too low, and just make sure that when we get into the next one that we're all in again.
It was nice to see Sam Bell's name on the team sheet in the week. I'm sure you're going to be very careful on his return. He'll be a great option when he's available again. How soon do you think it is before we might see Sam Bell in a first team squad?
Not far away. He's don't want to jinx things in terms of how he's looked. He obviously got some minutes the other night, which was good for him. And he's been training for a little period of time now. So it's a case of, like I said, we don't want to rush things. We want to make sure that it would be great to have him back, but we want to make sure that when we get him back, we keep him back.
Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Liam, just on team news, are we any closer with Cal Naismith and Ross McCrory coming back at all?
Them two and Sykes are out on the grass at the minute, so they're not a million miles away. But again, you have to see how they respond to certain different activities that they do, different challenges in their rehab. So we're expecting them back in team training fairly soon.
Just a minute, Josh Stokes was involved with the 21s on Monday. What's the sort of programme with him? Is he back with Cambridge now? Is he closing in to getting back to full fitness with them?
Yeah, he's back with them now. It was a discussion Brian had with Ben Strang, the technical director there, and it was a case of, look, they'd been training with them fully. Can we get him some match minutes? Different programs at different clubs with the categories of what 21s football looks like at a Cat 3, 4. So I think in terms of it was a good opportunity to get him some match minutes. Yeah, I have to say I thought he was excellent in the second half. He did some really, really high level moments for the game, and yeah, it'd be one where he's now back with them.
Obviously, Rob Atkinson played with them as well, rather than being in the squad on Tuesday. How do you think his return to first team action goes? I know you mentioned last week you feel he needs match minutes to keep up that fitness. How is he going to break into the first team squad, do you think, especially when the back three, back four are playing so well at the moment? What does that look like for you?
That's the challenge, right? That's the. I think you've answered your question there. When the three are playing so well, it's difficult to. So again, I think the decision then becomes, like I said, when we had the games that we had last week, knowing that we're going Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, and then obviously with the 21s playing Friday, Monday, you could potentially just sit on the bench in both games, get no minutes, which again I don't think what Rob's needs at the minute. Josh Slowey's done great with us, so it was one of those where we went, right, let's take Rob with us on the weekend, and then keep building on his match minutes on the Monday. And he's great to work with, Rob. Great personality, trains really well. Good voice on him, really positive in the information he gives, does some excellent things. It's unfortunate it's a position which you very rarely change unless it's forced upon you.
Obviously, you've kind of changed between the 3 and 4 in recent weeks at the back. Do you have a preference, or is it more to do with what's actually who and what are available to you at this moment in time?
A combination of things. I think the system tends to be more on the out of possession than the in possession. The in possession, and it's what I quite enjoyed the other night. There was a freedom to it. We have a structure that we play off, but I want the lads to step on and be fluid and it not be uber rigid and structured. I think we have it, but within that, it's kind of guidelines for the players to work off of. And I thought the lads did a really good job, especially for Anis Naki and Birdie linked up really well at times as a front three. So in possession, for me, I want it fairly fluid, and then it tends to be then the out of possession, and that would be a combination of us and opposition.
Obviously, Zach's kind of playing a bit of a wider role. He was started a fair bit wider at Watford. I felt it's almost gone a bit under the radar how consistent he's been. He's almost been in every squad that you've picked since you've arrived. How much has he improved, do you think, since you've come here to really become? He feels like a leader at the back now rather than just an academy graduate.
Yeah, I think he's really progressed, Zach. I think I remember seeing him when I came here when I was at Oxford and being like, who's that, in terms of when you look at physically how he moves, technically how good he is. And then again, we've done bits on other areas of his game, which fair play to him. I think he even he's not a young player anymore. I think he's really bought into the bits that we've tried to do with him. I've started to see that come out more consistently in games now. And again, I think he's hit a really consistent level of performance, which that's the challenge now, sustaining it, and if not, then adding to it, stepping up a bit. But he's done well, Zach, and he's like I said, I'm going to keep pushing him, and I know he'll keep pushing himself.
Hayden came on second half on Tuesday in sort of right wing back role. I know your options are fairly limited out there at the moment. Is that somewhere you genuinely see him as an option, or is it a case of filling a hole sometimes, or do you think he could start games in that position?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I prefer Hayden on the left. I think it's more, I think it worked if you looked at the out of possession, especially first half and even second half, how we applied pressure. For me it was, the call with the 5 was the right decision. I think it obviously, it was a great exposure for you up against, probably one of the best players physically, I think, as a wing back in the league. And naturally it takes a lot out of you, such a demanding position when you play it, given the distances you have to cover. So Hayden's played there before. We had a chat with him. It's not something that's new to him. But ultimately, I think you see more of his qualities on the left side.
So it's something you'd be happy to do again, though, especially while Ross.
Yeah, if you have to. Yeah.
Obviously, it's been a bit of a strange season at home where so many good performances, so many close games, and I think Sheffield United comes to mind, Leeds, where there have been really good performances, but the results necessarily haven't been turned into wins. Do you think that's almost, obviously there's no easy game in the Championship, but Saturday's a good opportunity to give those home fans a first win in what's been a while?
Yeah, we try and do it every single time. I think if you see that in the performances, I think I think we have to shift away from an entitlement because we're at home that you expect and deserve to win. I think you have to make it happen. I think, you know, when you look at the progress, I think of some of the performances last year were not great. We were dogged. We were, you know, hard to beat. We were, I think back, you know, Swansea we beat at home. There's a run around there where, you know, the defensive performance was good. The quality with the ball was not great. Whereas I think, you know, we've made strides forward in the performance now with and without the ball. We've hit a consistent level. That doesn't guarantee you to win. I think that's the next bit for me is how do you go from, you know, being good out of possession to now we're in a solid place with and without the ball to then how do you now use it to win games. So it's not something that just happens just because you start performing well. I think you have to learn how to win matches, and like I said, I genuinely believe the lads are on the cusp of it. I think it's very close. I think for however many games we've had this season now, I keep saying it, we've consistently hit a level across, you know, pretty much all of them. So I think it's now, you know, using that way of playing, that dominance, that being able to repeat the things that we're doing, which the players, have credit to them, have learnt. And then it's how do you now use that to win games, which, like I said the other night, with quite a young group, with, you know, learning to be ruthless is something as well. So, you know, we're in the stage where we have to now learn that.